And Philippe Sue from Hamilton.
Hamilton. All right, so let's get into Borat subsequent movie film. Jeez. Coming to Amazon Prime on October 23rd. I'll kick off the conversation by saying that this movie is pure insanity.
I haven't seen it yet, so this is exciting.
Yeah,
for me to hear.
and we're not going to spoil. We're not going to spoil anything. We want you to be able to listen to this show and still be able to go check out the movie on Friday. It's not like there's a plot, but there's obviously with him, he works his way into situations using, and especially in this one too, and I love the way that they address in this one that the Borat character is so recognizable that the minute he arrives in America, he just gets inundated by people who want autographs from him or want to take pictures with him. So he has to, it's weird. Sacha Baron Cohen, who is disguised as Borat, has to disguise Borat, and the ways that he disguises himself throughout the movie get funnier and funnier. But the true, so I ended up giving this movie 4 out of 5, Kev, because I just thought that the structure of it is still incredibly loose. It's just a series of, for the most part, outrageous situations that he can get himself into in order to expose the ignorance of people, of Americans, essentially. And it broke my heart that like halfway through, I went to the IMDb page to check and see where they filmed it. And it's Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is about 90 minutes away from Charlotte, North Carolina. And my people do not look good in this movie. Not in one way, shape, or form. But the true selling point, I just think Borat as a character is still incredibly funny. It's as insensitive a movie as you can imagine right now. Like the humor it's offensive to everybody. Like every group that you think is going to get mad by this movie is going to get mad. But the character that they introduce is his daughter, and she's played by an actress named Maria Bakalova. Is that right?
Is it
Maria
Bakalov? Yeah, I'll double check it.
Okay, check it. She's phenomenal.
New, so,
oh my God. She is unbelievably great. She does Sacha Baron Cohen as well as Sacha Baron Cohen does. And she has to be as quick as he is. She gets thrown into situations where she has to improvise in front of people, and she's just fantastic. So I think this movie is incredibly funny. I would absolutely recommend it. I think the shock value of the Borat concept has worn just a little bit, but Sacha Baron Cohen figures out a way to get over that really quickly. And it just goes to show that there's still plenty of things to poke fun of. The first one came out in 2006. So you're talking, all these years later, and there are reasons that he is trying to get this movie out ahead of the election. There are political points trying to be made. There's social points trying to be made. And but more importantly, more than anything else, it is one of the most laugh out loud funny movies that I've seen in a really long time. And a lot of my laughter was triggered by just being completely shocked by what I was watching play out, because I could not believe that he was able to pull off some of the things he pulled off in this movie.
I think what I loved about it was the emotion. I actually think that there's a good through line and a good story here. The basic premise of the film, it's a joke, but the character of Borat is trying to deliver his 15-year-old daughter to Mike Pence. Like that's the concept of the story. That's in the trailer. We know that. As a gift, essentially.
It's in the original title of the film as well.
Right. So
very long title.
But what's crazy about the Borat movie is, from what I understand, I mean, obviously you have the two actors who are playing Borat and the daughter, Sacha Baron Cohen, and this new actress who's absolutely
is the character's name Tutar?
Phenomenal. I mean, she is incredible. So what I love about this film is that at the end of the day, it is insanely shocking, but I felt emotionally invested in their arc. And I know I understand that it's going for shock value, but there's something really sweet about some of these scenes that the daughter has with the people that she runs into. And I won't go into too many details, but there's a specific woman that the daughter has a lot of scenes with that I thought were so powerful and said, but they said so much. I mean, she was amazing. She was amazing. And I think what's interesting about this film is he lets the people they run into tell the story of our country.
Yes, 100%.
The movie basically is a reflection of how divided our country is. I know you're laughing.
But I love that Kevin is having this very serious.
Kevin is right. Kevin is right.
And Sean's just laughing at some lewd joke that was made, or whatever is funny.
That's what's weird is that I am with Sean on the shock and the humor. There was a scene in this film that I think is genuinely, I agree with Seth Rogen, one of the funniest things I have ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
I was on a couch last night with Lauren. I have never seen Lauren laugh that hard. I almost fell off the couch. I couldn't breathe. And all I will say is the word dance. That's all I'm going to say. But that's what makes this movie brilliant for me is you go from shock to real, to shock to real. And you're dealing with real social, political issues while making fun of it, but also exposing our country. And it's a very, very, it's kind of a brilliant way they do it. Taking the shock away from it. I feel like that's the thing about comedy sometimes is you go into a comedy and people don't want to take it seriously. People don't want to take the messages seriously. They just want to laugh. But I think if you ask Sacha Baron Cohen his intentions for this film, it would be exactly what I'm saying right now. It would be that he wanted to show our country, get a message out there. And you do that through comedy because comedy makes us laugh. It creates a reaction in us. But at the same time, their performance, as you were saying, Sean, she's so brilliant. I think she's as good, if not better, than Sacha Baron Cohen in the film. She is brilliant, this actress. I've never seen her before. She's phenomenal. And I know Sean's laughing.
I keep remembering scenes of her and how good she is.
She's phenomenal.
My God.
But one thing I will say is, the editing there's a lot going on. But I want to see the movie about the making of this film. Yeah. Because we were discussing this earlier about how they're able to get these shots. And Sean brought up an interesting point about how Borat has to disguise himself. Because if you think about it, when Borat goes into a situation in 2020, it's different than going to a situation when you were in 2006. Because not a lot of people might have known who Borat was before the Borat movie came out, unless you watched the Ali G show and things like that. But Borat wasn't as, I don't think, before the first Borat movie, as certainly recognizable or as famous as he is now. So he clearly can't go into situations as Borat. So they write that part in, Sean, brilliantly. Because they basically give him the excuse to not be Borat, to show up at scenes that people wouldn't recognize him for.
Right.
And from what I understand, and this is just what I've gathered from reading things about these films over the years, from what I understand, what they do is the reason they're able to get people on camera with these scenes is because they're signing documents that essentially say something along the lines of, we're filming a documentary about a guy coming from a different country who's trying to integrate into our culture, and we want to capture it on film. That's kind of what I gather how they do it. If you watch the movie closely, you'll see blurred faces. You'll see faces that are blurred. And the reason those are blurred is because they didn't get the right to actually put them in the film. So people are signing documents. And these are not actors. These are people. There's a guy. The guy in the fax store. He's with real people, and that's what makes the movie brilliant. Is you're getting these genuine I want to ask a question
reactions. Because there's one or two scenes that pop up, and without giving anything away, that seem there's no way that he could have done it. For one, the country band that plays behind him.
I'll tell you how they did that. So I had questions about that too.
Yeah. All right, so we'll talk about it offline. Let's talk about it offline.
I was gonna say, is this interesting to anybody?
No. I can keep this super vague. All Sean's referring to is a moment where Borat takes a stage at an actual event, and performs. And the question Sean is asking is, how could they have possibly let that happen?
Yeah.
Lauren and I had the exact same discussion last night over text, right when we were watching the movie. Here's how I think he did that, and I'll keep this super vague. I think he genuinely signed up for that show as that character, got chosen to be a part of the show, and because you think about it, this takes planning.
It takes so much planning. Yes.
So in order for a character Borat is playing to get on stage at a concert, to play as part of a festival wherever he was, the work that goes into that scene, in my opinion, would be him literally signing up, getting approved, getting there, and doing that moment. So you're saying that you think that was staged. That's how I think he did it. It feels staged
because he turns around and talks to the musicians, and then they have to play a song that he needs them to play. And so you'll see as you guys are watching it.
They're not actors.
Yeah, they're not. Pay attention to. Pay attention to all of those things. But either way,
that's what makes it exciting.
We both highly recommend it. It's
so
really, really funny. Kevin puts it in his top 10 for the year.
Because I think it's a brilliant film that we need right now. And listen, I understand politically people are very divided in this country, and I completely understand that you may look at this film as a Trump bashing movie. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's a film that genuinely exposes, like, there are two specific people that I think are on opposing sides of our country in regards to politics that are part of this story that they run into in the story that are like, that show our country. That is our country. And it's like, it's kind of amazing what he pulls off in this movie. And I tip my hat to him.
This is probably a silly question, but I wonder if people are thinking this before we move on. If someone hasn't seen the original, do they need to see it to understand anything about Borat, or is it just...
No. They do a pretty decent setup. Yeah, they do a pretty decent setup, too.
I figured.
More like so than you would even expect.
They show him at the premiere. They actually show footage of the real Borat premiere. Yeah. Because when Sacha Baron Cohen does press for these movies, he does them in character. Yeah. Like, I interviewed him for Bruno, and I had to and you had to do it in character. And he's outstanding.